Born the same year as Paul Morphy in 1837, Ellen Gilbert, née Strong, was arguably the best woman chess player and the best correspondence chess players of both genders of the 19th century. Known by every chess lover back then, she now seems to be forgotten by all except a few specialized historians. It is time to pay tribute to the first queen of chess. Ellen E. Strong was a teacher in Hartford, Connecticut, when she met John W. Gilbert, a local builder with whom she shared a passion for chess. The Hartford Chess Club was a typical 19th century gentleman-only club, where the idea of a woman joining, even more so a woman of social standing, would have seemed laughable. This prompted Ellen and John to establish the Queen's Chess Club, open to both genders, where Ellen was recognized as the best player. The local newspaper described her as the first woman capable of playing blindfolded. And not only did she play blindfolded, she won every game. Thus, Ellen had to turn to correspondence chess to find proper adversity, while escaping the ambient misogyny. Okay, time to see some of the Queen's jewelry. In this wild opposite-side castling game, Ellen first sacked a pawn with the powerful move b5, and after cb, ab5, bishop b5, she played one of the most beautiful moves ever played in chess history. e6, leaving the queen emprise, but of course bishop takes e2 would have been met by e takes f7 with a funny fork of both black rooks. But black simply played queen g6, and we might wonder what was the point. The point was the incredible queen sacrifice, queen takes b5. Now that the pawn is on e6, it would be mate after ab5, rook a8. So this was an incredible idea, and after queen takes b5, black should have resigned, could have resigned at least. But they played f4 like nothing happened. And so it was a correspondence game. And correspondence games were costly at that time. And you could not just tell your opponent, oh come on now, resign. According to the Zen tradition, there was a way to end the game though. To announce the first mate. Which first mate, you might be wondering. White is totally winning, of course. But mating should take like another 20 moves? Well, not 20, but 19. How do I know that? Because while playing her next move, the powerful rook takes a6, Ellen sent a lengthy analysis proving that mate was forced in 19 moves exactly against black's best defense. So basically, she just announced mate in 19 moves. Here's her main line. Okay, some checks, another sacrifice, more checks, a mate threat here. Black has to give the queen, and now it's basically just take everything and give mate 19 moves later. So after receiving this lengthy analysis proving the first mate, her opponent had finally to resign. Okay, this was cool. But let me show you this game, which she played against Hotchkin. In this following game, I dare think that Gilbert showed a level of chess never reached by her contemporaries, Morphy included. Admittedly though, it was only correspondence chess. So it was a very popular then event gambit. Here, pawn to b4, and she played what was considered the main line back then, bishop to c5. A move which has which has been later criticized, but now the computer, the modern engines, just say that it is a move as good as any other, like 0.00, like as always with modern engines. Anyway, white castled, d6, d4, e4, cd4, bishop b6. White has a great center, but it is under pressure and could be even more. So they move the pawn to d5. And yeah, it's hard to find a good square for the knight. So she put it on a5, and after bishop b2, there is a threat on g7, so no time to take the bishop, because then bishop takes g7 is just winning for white. And the most natural move might be knight f6, but then this bishop would be unchallenged. So it's better to play as she did, knight e7, in order to close the diagonal with f6 later. So bishop d3, because now the bishop is under attack. Castle, knight c3, knight g6, knight e2, and yeah, it might seem that this knight and also this bishop even are very misplaced, and yeah, we can even imagine at some point some bishop c3 and queen a4 or queen d2, and yeah, the knight on a5 a la MVL could be in trouble. But here she played a very nice move, c5, and after queen d2 she played bishop c7, knight g3, f6, good move to close the diagonal, king to h1. I will later talk about this great move by white. Now rook b8, rook c1, b5, everything now makes sense on the queen side for black, knight to f5. And okay, some of you might be complaining about nowadays chess being all about memory and reciting long analysis. Well, you might be disappointed, at least if you regret the good old time where you can simply play romantic chess. Because this position was well known back then, and it has been played by all the best players, I mean, maybe not all, but some of the best chess players in the world. And the position was known to be much better, if not winning, for white. Let me show you 3 games. Very shortly. The first one was played by Adolf Andersen with white against Louis Paulsen, a great player. Paulsen played rook to b7, and Adolf Andersen unleashed the powerful plan, which started with king to h1. He played g4, and after bishop b8, rook to g1, and basically he just crushed his opponent. I will show you the rest of the game very quickly. Here, a powerful knight sacrifice just to destroy black castling, and here only move 31, black had to resign. So it was a game played in 1868. Only 1 year later, the same Andersen played against the great Johannes Zuckertart, who became the first world challenger, the first player to lose a world championship match against Steinitz. Here Zuckertart played b4, but Andersen won the game with the same simple yet powerful plan. Rook to g1, bishop b6, g4, and g5. The king side starts to crack. The rook are doubled, and here Adolf Andersen played one of his greatest final blow, queen takes h7, and Zukertort resigned. Why? Because it is force mate. After king takes h7, if you want to pause the video, you can. White has the powerful f6 check, and after king g8, which is forced. Now white sack his bishop, and after king takes, we sack our pawn, or queen, as you want. Rook takes g8, and now rook h3 is checkmate. A couple of years later, the same Zukertort, now playing the game with white, learning from his previous mistake. Played against the Frenchman Jean Dufresne, and Dufresne played c4. Zukertort answered with bishop e2, and here Dufresne played b4, and basically Zukertort won with the same plan. Let me show you very quickly the rest of the game. As you can see, the same doubling of the rooks and g5, everything is mindful of the previous game, and here it seems that black has a very powerful fork, but Zukertort, in a karmic kind of way, announced mate in 5 moves. If you want to find the solution, please pause the video, and if you don't, it's basically just the same as the previous final blow, to which Zukertort was a victim. Queen takes h7 check. It is forced mate, as after king takes, white has rook to h5 check, king g8, now knight to h6 check, the pawn is pinned, so black has to move the king, but king takes f7 double check, king g8, and now rook takes g7 is checkmate. So you might be wondering, what was Hélène doing? Was she not aware of the best games of the best chess players in the world? Oh yeah, she was, but she also understood the position much better than them, and she played happily this position with black. She played the same move as Dufresne did, c4, but after bishop e2, she unleashed the powerful novelty, very deep move, queen to e8, not only attacking the pawn on e4, but also sidestepping from a potential fork after knight d4 to c6, which could have forked black's queen and rook. So the pawn is under attack. Best for white was to just sacrifice it by playing knight to d4, and after queen takes e4, bishop a3, black has a good move, queen to f4, and black is up 2 pawns. So even though white has some compensation, it is not enough, and black is much better. But Gilbert's opponents played as a defensive move knight to g3, and now black is positionally winning, but the knight is still badly placed on a5, and it has a dream square. Do you see it? This knight is dreaming of the square d3. And let's see how she managed to do it. First knight b7, knight to d4, knight to c5, and we can see how good the move queen to e8 was. Now there is no fork. And like knight c6, we could answer simply rook to b7, and the pawn is under attack, and if bishop b3 then knight to d3, and it's all over. So white, after knight c5, played rook to e1, and okay, now you don't want to take, because let's say just knight takes, queen takes, and bishop takes c4, and there is this discovery attack. So of course she did not take, she played knight to e5, she has two knights to go to this square, so one of them will. White played rook to c2, and after knight to d3, bishop takes, knight takes d3. She basically inverted the famous Kasparovian octopus knight, you know, from the game 16 of the 1985 World Championship against Natalie Karpov, of course. And yeah, this knight is known as the octopus knight, thanks to Kasparov. But like she played it more than 100 years before. So yeah, it should be Gilbert's octopus knight. Anyway, it's now all over, and white had to resign after rook to e2, bishop b6, f4, bishop g4, knight f3, queen c8, and now in this desperate position white blundered with knight to f1, and there is a simple tactic to end the game. Can you see it? Of course you can. Knight takes b2, and white resigned because after rook takes b2 there is the fork c3. So yeah, it's an incredible game. And you know, one should never analyze an ancient duel with modern engines, as they will always coldly point to some defects. But just to be sure, I did ask Stockfish 15 its verdict about this 150-year-old game. Here it is. 0 blunders, 0 mistakes, 0 inaccuracies, and only 19 average centipon loss. It's basically nowadays World Championship level. Let's now see her longest announced mates. Ellen Gilbert played on the first board for the American team in the 1879 USA vs England correspondence chess match. The only woman in the competition, Ellen was paired against George Gossip, a man regarded as one of the, if not the best correspondence player in the world, who was also capable of shining over the board. Steinitz describes Gossip's 1889 game against Jackson Showalter as one of the finest specimens of sacrificing play on record. The first world chess champion added, "Mr. Gossip deserves the highest praise for the ingenuity and depth of combination which he displayed in this game." Let's just quickly see this incredible combination by George Gossip. Here he played h4, a move about which Steinitz said, "The initiation of a masterly combination, 8 moves deep." Bishop takes h4, and now another sacrifice. This time it's not a pawn, it's a knight. Check, g takes f3 was forced, bishop takes f3 check, bishop g3. Now a queen sacrifice, queen takes g3, h takes g3, rook takes g3, the pawn on f2 is pinned, so king h2 is forced. And now the quiet move, bishop takes f2, threatening mate, and after bishop h3, Gossip played rook takes h3, and white preferred to resign instead of getting mated on the next move. So, the other players widely criticized the American captain's choice of pairing a woman against such a player. So was it a mismatch? Were we heading towards a bloodbath? And did Ellen not deserve to play on the first board? Oh yes it was, oh yes we were, and oh yes she did. Ellen Gilbert won all 4 games. Her 4-0 triumph gave America a 27-23 overall victory over England, and when Gossip was late to resign, Gilbert did what she did best, to announce crazily long fast mate. Let's see. Here in this game, white is totally winning. It's easy to compare this incredibly powerful knight on e5 to this poor bishop, which is basically even maybe less strong than a pawn. But waiting for her opponent to resign, she announced a checkmate in 21 moves. Here's a variation she gave. Knight takes g6. Now it's basically a winning endgame. Up an exchange. How is the mate forced? Well, simply like this. Force mate in 21 moves. And Gossip had to resign. And here's what is probably the longest announced checkmate in chess history, at least before computers. It's an opposite colored bishop endgame, and black is winning. It's actually very instructive. It's a perfect example of the one diagonal principle. As we are going to see, black will lose the pawn on c7, and white pawns on e4 will be able to reach the e7 square. But thanks to their majority, black will win the bishop, and the powerful bishop on c6 in just one diagonal can protect the very important pawn on a4 and prevent both pawns to come further. So yeah, we are going to see just that. So g5 was not played because, like I said, she announced checkmate in 35 moves. So Gossip had to resign after that. But this would have been the best defense for white. Now the bishop has to come here to sacrifice itself against the newly promoted queen. And now we see what I was talking about, this one diagonal principle. And just one diagonal, the bishop does everything. Protect the pawn and prevent both white's pawns to come further. And yeah, the king is stuck around here, because if white king goes over there, then simply a3 would promote a pawn. So white has nothing to do but wait for black to take the pawn on e7, then the pawn on b2, and then basically it is just a easy mate, and this was the shortest mate. So yeah, her victory was acclaimed. She was given a gold watch and poems, and even chess problems were dedicated to her, like this one for instance. It's a mate in 3 moves, composed by a gentleman named John Zim, and you can see that the pieces form a Q later for queen, as she was hailed queen of chess. So it's made in 3 moves. If you want, you can pause the video. If you don't want to find the solution, which is not that difficult, not that beautiful too, I might dare to say, it's rook to c5, and black's answer is forced, bc5, and now the king goes to d6, c4 is forced, and bishop takes f6, gives checkmate. Speaking of problems, she also composed problems, and I like this one. It's a mate in 3 moves. I mean, actually it was a mate in 4 moves, with the first move being queen to c7 check, but I think it's more beautiful presented as a mate in 3 only. So sorry Elon, I allowed myself this presentation as a mate in 3. This time I will not give you the solution, but if you have found it, you can write it down in the comments below. I will read it with them for sure. Gilbert's match against Gossip marked the pinnacle of her career, but sadly, also its end. Gradually becoming blind, Ellen Gilbert quit correspondence chess. Like her handover, she waited for the 20th century to pass away. Ellen E. Gilbert died on February 12, 1900. The Hartford Times obituary described her as a lady of fine character, much esteemed by her friends, and as modest as she was kind. The chess world, which had relegated her to correspondence play, had already forgotten her. It was not easy to find sources to prepare this video, and I am grateful to the passionate people who wrote them. You can find all the links in the description. I hope this video will help Ellen Gilbert's genius to dazzle new players. And if like me you think that more people should know this incredibly inspiring woman, do not hesitate to like this video and share it on social media. I wish you a very nice day. Ciao.